Ladies and gentlemen, how I wish I wasn't having to make this little announcement, but yes, PreachCon 2020 is cancelled. I know how many of you look forward to it and have probably already pre-booked your rooms at the hotels. We had to delay, obviously, with the coronavirus thing, and now the Olympics has been postponed. We've been trying to hold on some hope that something would happen, something would change, but obviously it's not, and it's planning to get worse. So I know many people were kind of like, we'll come anyway. I was like, well, that's a really bad idea. We can't do that, as people do come from all over the globe to PreachCon. The only people, I don't think we've had anybody from like Japan, but pretty much every other nation on Earth has been represented, and therefore we have no choice but to cancel for this year. Now, I do know for those of you who have booked hotel rooms, I already spoke to Chris, who does our graphic stuff, and he's having trouble getting his money back for the deposit and stuff like that. We're in the same boat. Obviously, we pre-bought the room. We're trying to get that back. We didn't have to pay too much, but I consider that lost. We're getting Emma to try and talk to them, but I don't know, guys. I'm really sorry. There's not much I could do, unfortunately. We're trying, and all the hotels are obviously having nobody travel to them as well, so they're trying to hold on to every penny they can. All I can tell you is Emma is working to try and get something back for the people who are attending PreachCon, and should we get something from them, some sort of maybe postponement, maybe it can be banked until the event happens next year, something like that, then, we'll do our best to make it happen. I've already heard some rumors as well of people who are trying to say, well, I've already booked my room and I'm coming anyway. I mean, look after yourselves. It's not worth it, right? It's not about us. This is a coronavirus thing. It's not about us who are relatively young, relatively healthy. It's about the people we might pass it on to, and, their grandparents or whatever. And still, we're seeing the age of people who have died to this thing get lower and lower and lower. So I obviously do not recommend that until everything is safe and sound. At least here in the UK, we are on full lockdown now, as the government announced yesterday, as are many other countries already. So I'm sorry about that, but needs must. We can't be looking at events like E3 and the Olympics being cancelled and say, well, what about PreachCon? That's not really realistic. Moving forward then, Shadowlands, where the fuck is it, Mike? You said this and that. Other streamers have said this and that. People have been talking about it, and it's now been like 4 weeks. Where the fuck is it? I don't know. I honestly don't know. I've had no communication since the initial communication I had a few weeks ago, which was that it was coming very, very soon, as in that week. But it hasn't done. Now, I've no doubt that the corona stuff has definitely played a part, and that's fine. It's really strange to see how many people are getting upset that a global pandemic might affect their video games. Some perspective, please, on this scenario. And I will also remind you, and you can go back and check my interview that I did at BlizzCon with Bay. I really didn't expect Shadowlands to be this year. I was actually very surprised when they said they were going to try and release Shadowlands this year. Obviously, many of you don't want a content drought, but I also do, and I hope you'd stand with me on this, we do not want a shitty expansion. As the date keeps going and going and going, we're almost in April. The last thing I want to see here, from my perspective, is another BFA. And in that regard, I mean the really, really short alpha-beta cycle that BFA went through, where we practically got no changes made to the game because there was no time to make them. And even though we had like 5 months of alpha and beta, we didn't see things like Azerite armor until the week before the game went live. They were just trying to get it done as quickly as possible because they had a deadline. I would rather that not be the case. I would rather them say, look, we're going to have to delay it till next year. There's a global pandemic. If that's the reason, I don't know. Or perhaps it's just not ready yet. Because the reason I suspected it was going to be next year from BlizzCon is because it was so early in development. Really early. They had no real idea how most of the game was going to work. And therefore, trying to say, well, we don't know what we've got, but we'll definitely have it out in this amount of time is really ridiculous. It's not what the classic Blizzard is known for. It's not what we expect from them. It's done when it's done is a phrase from Blizzard. It's ready when it's ready. That's what we want. We want that classic Blizzard back to say, no, it's not right. We're not happy. We're going to get it right. We may see something in BFA like we saw with Halion, which I don't think really played out too well, so they're probably trying to avoid it because it was dead in a day, where they tried to release some sort of piecemeal content just to tide things over and shake things up a little bit. Whatever the reason is, the worst case scenario, the pessimist in me says that they'll release the alpha and they're still going to try and go ahead and get Shadowlands out this year. Every day the clock ticks over. It's been about a month since the murmuring started of when Shadowlands alpha was supposed to be out and around. Again, I'm not expecting to get in. Just to know it's out there and it's being tested is enough to know that something's happening with it. But it's, you know, like I say, we're now in April. People are expecting like an August, September release of this. And knowing from BlizzCon how far behind, or not behind, just how early they were, I really don't expect that to happen. So I'm okay, personally. I hope you guys are okay that if there is something happening with Corona that's prevented it, it's no doubt had some impact, unquestionably, that it's just pushed back accordingly. That's fine. That's absolutely fine. As for the rest of us, it's okay, it's not here. We would have liked to have seen it, but as many of you have probably noticed, March and April, and including World of Warcraft, are actually insane for gaming. Absolutely insane. We've had the 100% bonus XP, which has come into BFA now for everybody who's playing at home, and a wealth of games have been released. Absolutely top-tier games this month alone, including Doom, Outer Wilds, Resident Evil 3 is coming, Half-Life, all these kind of things. So if it's gaming you're looking for, there's plenty of options out there. I personally would have liked to have seen Shadowlands by now. I was kind of hoping to see it after the World First race, but here we are. It's not here yet, and it might cause a delay in the game. Just be prepared for that. That's all I'm saying. Just be prepared for that to happen. And if that does happen, it's okay. It's really okay, and it's for the better. It's okay if there's a content drought. We would rather that than them rush out an expansion just to say, well, we kind of told you it was going to be this year, and that means we've got to do it, and we're now in April, and we haven't even started testing it. But we've got to get it out, and there's less people working on it because a lot of people are having to work from home, but we're still going to try and push it out. And then you guys being like, yeah, I'm getting it this year, and then, oh, wow, it's crap and underdeveloped, and it needed more time, right? That's the scenario we could end up in with that kind of approach. I'm guessing I haven't had any communication from Blizzard. I haven't had any communication from anybody other than weeks ago when it felt like it was coming. And it's not here. So on that respect, nothing else to say. So that's the situation over here, guys. I hope you guys are looking after yourselves. I hope you're doing well. As I said, we are in full lockdown here. My children and my wife are we've got to stay indoors for the next couple of weeks at least, which means it's getting a little stir crazy here, but doing our best. Live streaming, making videos, doing what we can do. So look after yourselves, please, guys. Look after yourselves. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you again. Bye-bye.